Hey guys, I've been a night shift cop for the past 8 years in one of the biggest cities in the United States. And this video is directed primarily at young men who are trying to navigate the very complicated and confusing world of what consent actually means. I think everybody understands that consent is supposed to be continuous and affirmative, but somehow I still see guys who have good intentions get kind of hemmed up in situations that they don't intend to happen. The biggest and most obvious problem to me is the presence of alcohol. It gets to the point in most states where if someone is strongly impaired, they no longer can give consent. A girl who is drunk enough can be all over you, literally begging for it, and not legally have the power to give consent, even though she's an adult. This only comes into play if later on she has a change of heart, or if somehow her friends convince her to have a change of heart. There's several layers to this. One is going to be like what witnesses say. Are witnesses going to later on tell the cops that she was really hammered or she was really stoned? Or are they going to say, yeah, she had a few drinks, but she knew what she was doing? On the criminal side of this, young men do have a little bit of a chance in court because criminally, it still has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you committed a crime. But then whether or not there was consent gets to be decided by 12 random people. What's going to come into play into that is your reputation, your past history, and also the girl's reputation and her past history. I'll tell you what's not going to help you, however, which is whether or not you guys have had consensual sex in the past. You're going to have to reobtain consent for every time you guys are intimate. Realize though that even if you can beat a criminal case, two things are going to happen. Just the allegation alone is usually enough to ruin a young man's life. I think that's pretty obvious. And you're potentially still liable civilly, or the standard is much lower. If she files a civil case against you, the standard is a preponderance of evidence, which means just 51%. So you still have to deal with that. What's the takeaway? I think the takeaway is that alcohol and sex just don't mix. Even though I feel like with a lot of young people, the foundation of sex is alcohol. But if you're a young man out there kind of meeting new women, alcohol really is just not your friend, even though it may appear to be. Be safe.